On today's show, what is the hope for the Dallas Mavericks going forward? Because there wasn't much in the game they played tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks, but there is some going forward. I'll tell you what that is and more coming up. Today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm going to hit a city like that.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Wesley.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave me alone.
Your team every day.
Gotta be born with it. Dogged up.
Dogged up.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets. Your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com to check that out. And joining me, as always, on a postgame show, unless there's softball to be played, from the great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
They call me the Jake Berger of our softball league. This game was I'm ready for baseball this year, Nick. I got to be honest with you.
You're already he's rounding third and heading for home. Slightly Biased, ready for baseball season.
That's right.
His mind is here covering the Mavericks, but his heart is in surprise for spring training or wherever the hell they go.
Yeah, I think they're in Arizona. I could be wrong. Surprise is where they are. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Today's show, we'll talk about the Mavs lost to the Bucks a little bit. It was always going to be really tough to guard that Bucks team, but we'll talk about Moses Brown, how he played, and we'll also talk about Kai Jones coming in for the Mavericks too. But let's start here slightly. The hope for the Dallas Mavericks this season, because when you lose a game like this, 132 to 117, the final score didn't even really tell it. It felt like a 50-point game, and it was only like 20 most of the game basically.
Yes.
When you lose a game like this, you go, man, it just doesn't feel like there's any hope. And then you see Caleb Martin still hasn't made his debut for the Mavericks. Anthony Davis has played all just 30 minutes for the Dallas Mavericks and is maybe going to come back soon here. Lively is out. Gafford is out. P.J. Washington goes out with the ankle injury that he was questionable with coming into this game. And he's struggling, doesn't look right, and so then he's out the rest of this game. And you're just like, where is the hope here for this basketball team? And then you add on to the fact that the Lakers are winning a bunch of games, and so that looks brutal. And then add on to the fact that what did Quentin Grimes finish with tonight? 44? He finished with 44 points in 36 minutes for the Sixers, and the Sixers beat the Warriors. That was like
44 points. I'm pretty sure he missed 6 free throws and missed a layup at the end of the game. So he could have cleared 50.
Quentin Grimes could have cleared 50, and Caleb Martin has not played for the Mavericks. And so you look around and you start going, oh, my God, where is the hope for this Mavericks team? And so to me, I think we still have not seen what this Mavericks team fully healthy is. And I think that's the thing that you still hold on to. There's a bunch of cheering going on back there.
Only cheering there's been all night.
I was going to say, this is the most cheers that I've heard in this stadium tonight. It's like Hispanic Heritage Month, and so I think game tonight. But to me, you have not seen this Mavs team whole so far this season. And there is hope that Anthony Davis is going to come back, that Lively is going to come back, that Gafford is going to come back. And you just can't put any of your hope or anything in the current version of this Mavericks team. It felt like a metaphor watching them play this Bucks team tonight, because they were never going to be able to guard this Bucks team, right? They just are too big. They started Brook Lopez, Giannis, Kuzma, Taurean Prince. Like, that's all guys 6'7" and over. I think Taurean Prince maybe like 6'6", but it's just such a big lineup to be able to defend. They struggled with it. They didn't have any of their centers except Moses Brown on the end of his 10-day, Dwight Powell, P.J. Washington goes out. I mean, it just is brutal, but you have not seen this Mavericks team yet, right? And, like, that's the thing that I'm still holding on to. That's the thing I'm still holding on to for this season, is that there's still a full-grown Mavs team that could be without four out of 5 starters. I mean, Caleb Martin could make his way into the starting lineup if – or into a closing lineup, right? Like, they're just missing that number of quality players right now. And I think that is something to still look at and be like, all right, let's just push past a game like this and say there's still hope in the future. Where are you finding your hope right now as a Mavs fan yourself? Is it with the Texas Rangers?
Yeah, it's with the Rangers. No, it's with the health of Jacob deGrom. No, it's with it's the same thing you said. It's with the health of this team. I mean, it just sucks harping on it all the time, because it is after every game. I feel like we come on here and we're like, well, I mean, this isn't what this team's going to look like in a month, hopefully, in like 3 weeks, hopefully. That's kind of where you're at. You also could say, well, they do have one of the easier strengths of schedules in the Western Conference from here on out.
Nice.
I don't know. That stat's always just so wonky to me for a lot of different reasons. But okay,
Well,
that's cool.
You just never know who's going to play in some of those matchups too. I mean,
Right,
Sabonis might be out for Sabonis might be out for the Mavs matchup against him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you look at the schedule, you're like, oh man, we play the Thunder that night. That's tough. But what if Shea's resting? What if J-Dub's resting? I don't know why I picked the Thunder. That was a bad example, but you get my drift.
They don't play them, which is nice.
Yeah, that's true. They don't play them again, but yeah, I don't know. So the strength of schedule is pretty easy moving forward for the Mavs. Another thing to be excited about, I guess, is there is this clump of teams that just refuse to run away from each other. Right? You have the Warriors who just lost tonight to
the Sixers.
Yeah, to a depleted 76ers team who I think is just like openly trying to tank at this point in time, right? Or at least is.
But nobody told Quentin Grimes
the idea of tanking, regardless of what they might say. Then you have a Clippers team that's really been struggling lately, really sloppy down the stretch of their game last night against the Lakers. Harden has struggled recently. You have this Kings team that has won a few games recently, but they're starting to put some pieces together, and ultimately their roster's just not that scary. And a Timberwolves team that lost 2 games in a row and horrible loss last night to the Utah Jazz. So you're in this clump of teams where you just have a 2 good week stretch, and who knows, you could be the 6th seed very easily. So
they could have been
that.
They could have been tonight. If they would have
won the game, they would have been the 6th seed.
And so, that's a great point. That could be the Mavs' hope, is that you're not completely out of it. You're not the Suns right now, right? You're not looking up at the play-in and going, all right, we're 3.5 games out. We're the Phoenix Suns, and we're 3.5 games out. Yes, the Mavericks are 10th right now, but they are 3.5 games up on the Suns. So there's a cushion there that even if you drop some games like this, that you're still alive and your postseason hopes are still alive. And like you said, they could just need a 2-week stretch, and they may only get Lively and Gafford for 2 weeks, but maybe that's all it takes to just get to that 6th seed or even just stay in the play-in and go and play, right now, man, the top 3 is Thunder, Nuggets, Lakers. Grizzlies fell out of it because of their loss tonight. Rockets are out of it.
It's tough.
So
that's a tough one too.
So you do have some hope if you're a Mavs fan in this, I think, because it's not all doom and gloom. Even though there are many signs that point to this is the worst, right? Watching the Lakers win, watching Quentin Grimes do his thing. I'm going to solo here on Quentin Grimes for a second. Never liked this trade. I'm going to use this game that he just had as my time to dunk on this trade. I always thought Quentin Grimes had potential to be way better than what Caleb Martin can bring. Obviously Quentin Grimes and Caleb Martin are different players. Martin can defend up a little bit, and so maybe that's something the Mavericks were looking at. But I just think you don't just throw away talent like that, or you don't just trade away talent for that. Even though they thought he was, Caleb Martin's more cost control. They thought that they weren't going to be able to pay Quentin Grimes, and maybe they are. Maybe after a game like this, team looks at it and says, "Man, you're worth $12-15 million a year to us," or something like that. But I just thought it was a mistake trade for the Mavericks, and the Mavs sent a 2nd-round pick with Quentin Grimes to get Caleb Martin. That's the part that I still go back to, is like they thought that Martin was more valuable than Grimes, and Martin was hurt, and Martin still hasn't made his debut for the Mavericks, and we're a month removed from the Luka trade. It just seems like it's been a while since, and I think we're 3 weeks removed from his trade, but it just is that is another one that just kind of heaps onto all the doom and gloom right now. And I'm gonna say I was right on that one.
Not to mention it was a 2 to 3 week 2 to 3 week window for Quentin Grimes. Caleb Martin. We're at 3 weeks now, and we still haven't seen him, and there's no word whatsoever about his return. So that's another one to add to the pile.
There was word on it before the game. Jason Kidd did say that he has been doing some contact work, that he has been warming up, that he has been doing stuff like that, and that they're going to try on Monday to see. I think they said try on Tuesday for him to go at practice again, and then try on Wednesday, hopefully, against the Bucks when they play them again, that we'll see the debut of Caleb Martin. So at least they have a guy coming back, which is nice. But yeah,
there's something that went really under the radar that, admittedly, I didn't even see until a couple of days ago when I saw somebody talk about it. Kevin O'Connor reported after that trade that Quentin Grimes' agent wanted a trade.
Oh,
yeah, this was reported on February 7th. I'm looking at it right now. Kevin O'Connor on his podcast. Kevin O'Connor is not one of these vetted Dallas guys. We know Dallas for a long time has been really kind of trust 1 or 2 people. Mark Stein, shout out to the other podcast. But
Deal.
he said, my understanding is that Quentin Grimes' agent wanted him to be moved because Max Christie will be taking a ton of minutes.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, it's kind of weird that's the only place we've really heard that from. But that would make more sense if that ends up, if that were true.
Well, and it makes sense that if they didn't think he was going to resign, but he was a restricted free agent. He was going to be a restricted free agent.
From Quentin Grimes' side of things, if you're an agent and you want your guy to make the most money possible in restricted free agency, and you just brought in a player who fits your archetype to a T, like.
And he had already, and Jason Kidd never really trusted him, right? We talked about this while he was on the team, that he would play 30 minutes one night and 10 minutes the next night and go back and forth. And Max Christie has obviously already gotten the trust of Jason Kidd. So I think the agent was correct in that he'd get much more of an opportunity for this tanking Sixers team where he can score 44 points in a game. By the way, do you know what Caleb Martin's career high is for no reason at all? I looked this up today.
What is it?
28 points.
Wow. Hey, but what's his career high in the playoffs, though?
26.
Against the Celtics?
Yeah, it was a 26-point game.
All right, we're locking that in.
That he's going to have one again?
Yep. In the finals, baby.
I think in all this stuff, there's a lot of things to look at and be upset about. I think there still is hope for the Mavericks. It does feel like it's the same thing over and over again, but I'm going to harp on it again, that the Mavs are still in it. They still have a shot. They still could. I mean, it's all still in front of them, and I think that's something to focus on. Coming up, let's talk about this game. Where did it go wrong for the Mavericks? What do we think about Kai Jones? That and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the NBA action. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip or you want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can't bet on fake comebacks, which we'll talk about here in a second. You can still stay in the action on FanDuel with the same game parlay or anything like that. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go check out FanDuel, see what is available, check out the odds, and see what you got on here. They have odds for the finals. They have odds for who can win the conference. Who's the favorite to win the West? The Thunder, minus 135. Nuggets, plus 550. Lakers, plus 800 now, all the way up. Warriors, plus 1,100. That one is interesting to me. Grizzlies, plus 1,300. Clippers, higher than the Rockets, is fascinating to me. Then the Mavericks, plus 4,200. So go check it out on FanDuel. Again, put down $5. If it's your first $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel.com, official betting partner of the NBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show and being with us. We have a daily show that covers the Dallas Mavericks, so wherever you're listening, watching this, subscribe, or on YouTube, podcast, check the QR code for different ways to follow the show. We have a bunch of great ways, the newsletter, the text line, social accounts, all kinds of stuff like that. Follow us, hang around, and come see me in Section 123. Had a lot of great people come and say hi, and a lot of Raccoon Squad members, and I love it. So I appreciate meeting you guys and all that kind of stuff. Taking pictures, and I won't sign things, though. I draw the line at that. Have you signed anything, Slightly?
Signed? I don't know if I've ever signed something.
I'm gonna get you to sign that Raccoon Squad poster that the listener gave me when we're all raccoons.
Signed. Okay, all right.
All right, the Mavs lose this game to the Milwaukee Bucks, 132 to 117, and they played them pretty close in the first quarter, and they had a 10-point lead in the second quarter, and it just literally went all downhill after that. Doc Rivers does this really weird thing where he sits Lillard and Giannis for like half of a quarter, and so he sits them the first half of the second quarter, and it felt like they were out for 7 or 8 game minutes. And so the Mavs are making this run, and all of a sudden you go, man, the Mavs are up 10 points right now. The Mavs are looking really good. And Giannis and Dame check in, and then they go like 38 and 10 the next quarter and a half, basically, and get up to a 20-point lead. And so it was a little bit of fool's gold, that run at the beginning and the 10-point lead early. But this was all about defense. The Mavs scored. They scored enough, I thought. They got things going. Kyrie had 31. Moses Brown gave you another good offensive game with 18. 16 from Hardy. Got a shooting touchback maybe. Clay, 16. Like, you got enough points. You just could not stop them at all. And then 31 free throws made for the Bucks. That's the most free throws made against a team, in a Mavericks opponent this season. And so, like, it's just all, to me, came back to defense.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about at the top of the show, they don't have the size to compete with a team like this. We talked about this after the game against Los Angeles, where you don't really have the size to guard guys like Luka and LeBron one-on-one without the
Help.
The help, right? Exactly. And I mean, Giannis, it's a team effort defending him, right? Like there's not a one-on-one cover for Giannis, and the Mavs just don't have the size, even on a team effort. You know, Max Christie gets tasked with guarding a Giannis post up. That's you're just, no matter how good you are as a defender, no matter if it's like, hey, that guy could guard up. That's just such a size mismatch there.
Yeah.
That he just doesn't stand much of a chance. And the Mavs were just in rotation all night because of that, and it just led to a lot of good looks, led to a lot of clean threes, and it led to a lot of fouls, like you mentioned. I mean, they really didn't have an answer for Giannis. I know it's annoying. I know you look at the free throws and stuff, but I didn't think there was any egregious officiating tonight. I will say, just from a viewer side of things, man, you made it a point of emphasis. Let's speed up the Giannis free throw process, please. It's absurd. It is absurd.
I was waiting for the counting from the Mavs fans. I was waiting for the.
It's the moment he gets the ball, it's 10 seconds, but then he spends 10 seconds telling the ref to not throw him the ball yet. It's like, dude, you're shooting. You're not even a good free throw shooter. Like, I don't understand this. I would get this whole charade if it was like, yeah, he's 92% from the free throw lines.
He was 11 of 13 tonight.
No, he was good tonight, but I'm saying, in totality, it's like, can we not spend this long waiting for free throws, please? He's 58% this season.
Let's say he takes 30 seconds every free throw. That and that added 6.5 minutes to this game.
That sounds kind of close to being right to me.
If each free throw takes some 30. It's wild to me.
I can't stand it. It's like so annoying.
Any other grievances?
No, that's it. I mean, Giannis was dominant tonight. I mean, the Mavs just had no answer for him. I don't even think 29-9-9 does justice to how.
No.
The moment he was on the court, it was like the Mavs are not winning these minutes. Like that, he was a plus 22 in 32 minutes, and it just felt this whole game was, all right, you're really gonna have to dominate some non-Giannis minutes if you want to really have a chance in this game, and they didn't do that. So
he had a moment, third quarter, with like 9 minutes left against Moses Brown, where he just looked like they were in a different league.
Yeah.
Where Giannis, he drove right at him and just did a hesitation, like a stutter step, and Moses Brown was caught like hips completely facing Giannis, but Giannis had already blown past him. It was like he just got frozen right there. It just shows how good of a player Giannis is, how hard he is to guard. PJ Washington had 3 fouls. I think they were all against Giannis. And in the minutes that he played, it just looked like he couldn't stay with him either, because I think he's still dealing with that ankle injury. I'm curious if PJ's going to be out for multiple games now, just to see if that gets right, because they keep trying. Like he's was out, then he's back, then he's out, then he's back, and I wonder what they do. I wonder what they do with him now. Again, that's all pure speculation. Haven't heard anything. Haven't seen any post game quotes yet, and all that. But yeah, this is a specific team that this version of the Mavs are going to not be able to defend against at all. But when they get the full team, they'll be able to play this Bucks team pretty well, right? Like, you get an Anthony Davis, you get a Lively, a Gafford even. Like, you have size to defend this team. They would match up really well against the Bucks, but this version of the Mavs, they just had no shot.
This version against the Mavs does not match up well against a lot of teams. Any good team, really. Like, any team that has good scores, this current version of the Mavs team is going to struggle mightily without really any of their main help defenders, any of their shot blockers, any of their bigs. You know, like Giannis, I watched in this playback, third quarter, Moses Brown, a real legit 7-footer, and he played well offensively in his minutes. It's just when Giannis is coming off of a ball screen and attacking Moses downhill, it is like you said, it's just that's not a fair matchup. It's just like that's not even a slight at Moses Brown at all. It's just there's nothing that he can really do there. You know, he's a guy who's in here on a 10-day contract, and he's having to get minutes because where the Mavericks are at from an injury perspective, and Giannis can just, make it look like you're a 5'6" guy because he does a quick little Euro step, and then you're one step behind him now, and he's dunking all over you. It's just good luck winning that game.
It was tough. The Mavs, I think Moses Brown played another good offensive game. Like I said, 18 points, 9 boards. He did have the 5 fouls. He's really struggled defensively, like you'd expect. But gave him a lot, and now his 10-day is done. So I don't think he can't play any more games. I was wrong about that last show. I'm right about it. I'm right about it this show that his 10-day is done. I don't believe that they can re-sign him now because I think they're out of money. I don't think they can re-sign him to another 10 days. So reportedly, Chris Haynes said that the Mavs are bringing in Kai Jones, who was recently with the Clippers, played with the Hornets for the first 2 years of his career, was out of the league last year, they waived him after some weird social media stuff, and who knows what was going on behind the scenes over there. But Kai Jones, 6'11", has a lot of athleticism, like an uber athlete. Some of the blocks and dunks, like his highlight, like he's one of those guys where his mixtape looks incredible, and then you watch him play, and it's a little different. But he can do some stuff, and I think this Mavs team could use him. Like, I was wrong about Moses Brown. I didn't think that Moses Brown was going to do anything for the Mavs, and he's proven me wrong the last 2 games. He really took advantage of the way this Mavs team can use bigs, because they're used to having a big like Lively, like a Gafford, and they used him really well. And so I kind of have some high hopes for Kai Jones that he can at least come in and contribute and produce a little.
I mean, he'll play. I don't know about high hopes. He'll play.
I mean, high hopes for a two-way guy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I wonder if this is just going to be we're just cycling in 10-day two-way guys until we can't anymore.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've been super tuned in to Kai Jones minutes, the few that we had this year, especially the non-garbage time ones that didn't feel like there was a lot of. But yeah, I mean, he's uber athletic, so that's one thing. If you were to compare him to like a Moses Brown or Kyler Kelly, he is uber athletic. That'll help, because I think this Mavs team needs to, in their current form, they need to play with a little bit more pace. They got to run the floor better. They got to figure out ways to force turnovers, to generate stops, and get going on the other end. Because as it stands currently, they struggle offensively, and they get in these ruts where the game becomes super slow. And I think in a world when you're healthy, like, yeah, that could help you out, because you have this big post-up presence in Anthony Davis. Like, you can run pick and roll with Luka.
Oh, my
Kyrie.
God. Oh, no.
That's the first time I think we had that slip up. With Kyrie, your other ball handlers.
I did it on a solo show recently, so you and me both.
Yeah, AD, Gafford, Lively. But as it stands currently, getting out and running will help. And having like an athlete like that, I think will be nice. And he'll play. I'm interested to see to what extent, but he will play.
I slipped up real bad yesterday.
What'd you say?
The last game, because I said somebody was day to day or something like that, and I was like, speaking of day to day, and I was about to say that AD was sitting on the bench for that game, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying.
Yeah, that's for the best.
That was a tough one. AD was on the bench again for this one, and also on the bench, Brandon Williams, Kyler Kelly, and Kessler Edwards, all in street clothes, because they weren't. Because they weren't. Oh, that's what I was talking about, in street clothes. And I said street clothes. Speaking of street clothes, Anthony Davis. That's a bad one. But all 3 of the two-way guys were inactive today, trying to keep, I guess, Kessler Edwards. They're giving him he's going to run out of games eventually, so they got to pick their spots with him here. But I thought it was kind of funny that there's this rumor that they're bringing in somebody. So one of the two-way guys has to be gone. Do you think they're sitting on the bench? They're on the second row of the bench talking to each other like, all right, is it you? Is it me? Is it me? And Kyler's just like, guys, it's me. It's me.
They probably already knew, realistically speaking.
Probably. But I don't know.
It's Kyler for sure. Right?
They didn't know. The players involved didn't know about the trade, so,
I guess that's true, but it's Kyler.
Yeah. That's who I think is the easy one to come in. Kessler Edwards has played too much. Brandon Williams is a different type of player, and I think it's shown more.
Kessler Edwards.
No. So we can rule him out.
Yeah.
Because you can only have 3 two-way guys. They got to waive one of them, and so, to me, Kyler Kelly's the one that makes the most sense.
Well, yeah, you brought him in because you literally said you brought him in because he was tall and he's not even playing. So,
yeah, tough. Jaden Hardy, we've given him a lot of crap, but 4 of 7. Maybe he's getting a shooting touch back. You can take that as a positive for the Mavs. This is his first good shooting game, I feel like, in weeks.
Oh, is this the first time he's broken? Oh, he had a 11-point game against the Warriors, but it's been a bunch of DNP since then. Yeah, this is, I'm looking at it. Wow. So he had 21 points. The Cavs game. The 50-point blowout loss.
The fake Cavs game.
Yeah, the game that didn't even exist. It wasn't real. And then 0, 0, 0, 4, 0, 2, 0, 11, 0, 0, 16 tonight. And with 4 assists. So, but maybe a game like this is good for him. He's such a confidence player. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Like a garbage time moment for him. And he had 9 points in garbage time. So a garbage time moment for him where he sees a few shots, go through. Maybe that gets his confidence going. Clay had 2 minutes in the third quarter of this game. So I don't know. Kid just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. And Hardy was just somebody who got out there and got some burn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. the rotation and stuff is the guard rotation. To me, feels like it should be pretty stamped. Like that's one of the things I feel like should be pretty set in stone.
Yeah, none of your guards are out.
Yeah, none of your guards are out, and you have a solid guard rotation. But I do get wanting to get Hardy out there and get some run in a game like this.
They're also stretching them though. Clay was playing 4 at times, right? Like Clay or Max Christie were playing 4 at times. So you're stretching, playing multiple guards at the same time. So that's how a Hardy I think gets some run. When Exum Dinwiddie also got a decent amount of run too.
And it's important to note that Hardy had 9 minutes going into the fourth. So if this game were maybe a little bit closer, although the Mavs kept Kyrie out there for a disgusting amount of time.
But he finished with 38 and a half minutes. I don't like that.
That's so irresponsible. That game was. I'm sorry. I know you never want to concede or anything like that. I know that's not the MO here, but this game was over.
It was a 15-point game with about 8 minutes left, and then it was a 14-point game with about 4 minutes left. So it's like it kind of was. We always say that a 10-point lead is nothing in today's NBA. So it's like it kind of was. But if you watched the whole game, you just could tell that this team could not defend. The Bucks could get a go-ahead bucket, and it was the fake Giannis Lillard out of the game. Giannis Lillard checked back in with 8 minutes left in the in the fourth quarter. So
yeah, that's it. If you watch this game, at no point did the game flow feel like if the Mavs might go on a run here. Like it just felt the moment you got to 14, it was like, all right, get the ball in Giannis's hands and put it back up to 20.
Yeah, Giannis would have to get hurt. I feel like because he could just get what he he could just get what he wanted in a game like this. But there you go. That's some hope for the Mavs. Hopefully, that's what we think about Kai Jones as we think about this
for
game.
Us to get on here and have fun conversations about what this team actually looks like.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
I feel bad because we come on here every day and it's like in a couple weeks they'll look good.
I got a lot of negative comments about my Hornets post-game show that I did by myself, and I think people just missed you.
What did they say?
I ripped their offense because they could not score against that Hornets team, and I was like,
an ugly game.
I was like, man, that is just not going to look good against another team. But yeah, so it has kind of been a couple games here of just some negative stuff.
People got upset at me when they were winning, and I was like, yeah, this probably isn't that sustainable, but it's nice that they're winning these games, and it's nice they're playing as hard as they are. And you're starting to hit this point where it's like, yeah, this was not that sustainable. And the lack of talent at times, the lack of front court depth is really going to start to rear its ugly head. And also another thing that we were worried about is you're stretching guys, and it's becoming like at least some of these guys are older and are playing a lot of minutes.
28 for Clay too.
Like PJ's so important to your team, and he's been dealing with an ankle injury, and he has looked nothing like PJ Washington in his last 2 games, and then he leaves this game with an ankle injury. Now who knows? So that's part of the concern because you need him back so badly. If your things are going well, he probably doesn't play tonight.
We're supposed to be hopeful.
I know.
There's just so much you can point to right now.
I know.
So many things go wrong for him. So check out Slightly Biased, great YouTube channel, great stuff happening there all the time. We'll have shows for you all throughout the week. We'll have one Sunday night, and we'll have every post-game Slightly will be back, unless it's on a Thursday, because apparently it's
not negotiable.
It's diamond time. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs. Peace out.
Thank you for your service, Moses Brown. I hope someone picks him up.